Awesome. Well, this matchup that we're gonna go over, guys, is Native White versus Proton Gaming. We talked about already through the open, already to bracket play, and this is to make it into the top 8. Game number 1. So momentum in the series, and this was casted by Magic and Bukowski on the LVT broadcast. I am gonna keep the volume really low because I want this to be more about the actual review. I do apologize, guys, but Magic and Bukowski did a fantastic job casting it. I'll keep the link in the bio if you guys want to watch it on your own time and hear the casting. That down, and I guess so. Real simple. What's our general game plan going into King of the Hill on live fire? What are we trying to accomplish? I guess besides capture 4 bases.
I mean, for us, like a lot of teams, like have like different, I'm sure, different ways of playing it. We feel like as long as we're in control of the objective, then there isn't really much that we have to do outside of like just deny people from getting to that objective. So we play like around the objective as efficiently as possible, and sometimes we might not even be the ones winning slays on some of these hills. But just the way that we kind of like focus on playing around the hill and like keeping people from getting to it and like preventing the space from being taken allows us to like be objectively efficient in a lot of these scenarios. So in our head, it's like our goal is to get control of the hill, and then at that point, it's just to I don't care if I die out on the map as long as I'm preventing people from getting up to the hill to contest it and like take control of whatever, whether it be green or whether it be A or C or whatever. If I can die at A and keep 2 people's screens while the hill's C, then I'm doing a good job for my team. I'm going to spawn and be right back in the fight by the same time those guys get ready to push. So that's kind of like our mentality on it.
Yeah, I feel like one thing you guys always do well with from watching when casting and even watching this film is that you guys get a lot of value out of your life and your damage, and it always seems like you guys, like from the moment you spawn up, there's always some kind of real estate being gained. There's also some kind of damage. There's something going on the map at all times, which I think is something that I lack in my gameplay as like a low onyx or high diamond play. I think many people do as well. It's like just being effective on the map. And it's one thing you guys do really well. While also not overextending and dying by yourself and whatnot. It's usually a team effort as well.
Yeah, I think the big thing for us is knowing, like, especially when we don't have control, Halo is a game of space, right, and real estate, right? And the more map that you have, the easier the game's going to be, and the more that you're going to be able to impact the game. So, when you have control, it's more about like denying them space, right, and like not letting them get to you to be able to like break. But then at the same point, it's like when you don't have control, it's like how much space can you take off your spawn without dying to like pressure them and like be able to maybe get a pick so you can then break that hill. So those are like the two sides that I kind of look at. It's like, okay, if I spawn up, it's like where can I get to apply pressure without dying to like keep them from just pinning us in our spawn, basically.
I remember watching this. You guys take this hill pretty quickly here, and actually we're right at that point where kill, boom, and hill's grabbed. This is, to me, this is an interesting scenario. You grabbed hill number 1, you got them 3 down, and so now you can set up for the next hill. But I also noticed that Overshield's coming up in less than 10 seconds. Like, so to me, that's so much going on at the same time. Like, I feel like I don't want the NBC spawning here. I want to attack Overshield. I almost want to get it from multiple different sides. I want to get it from C plat and A plat, especially when there's 3 down. But is that the right play? Like, what's if we're in this scenario, what's our perfect run to address the next hill and Overshield at the same time, or do you divert your attention?
So, I mean, I have like a unique way of like looking at like there's a lot of people out there that are more like power weapon and power up heavy, and they think that like obviously you want to control those. I mean, you control those, the game's going to be easier, 100%. But in my head, it's like if you have control of the map, the game's king of the hill, right? The game's king of the hill. So if you have control of the map and the objective, everything else, in my opinion, is secondary. OS, snipe, all that heat wave, all that stuff's secondary to me because as long as you're scoring or like getting time, then none of that stuff really matters. I really think that like playing for that stuff is huge for breaking stuff, right? Like if you OS to break control to like get in and get control of C or whatever the case is. But like right here, they have 3 dead. Nickwan's the only person C, so like in our head, it's like, well, you can play for C and also play for OS at the same time right now without really like giving up too much space because they're still going to be spawning behind us, or spawning out wherever. So like we're in a really good situation here to like, breaking shots, working his way up nest right now, trying to put pressure on C. The rest of us are, probably, going to hit bags or something and try to put pressure on these guys. And like we're in a mindset that like if they spawn screens here, which they should, or dummies, depending on like, if they get squad spawns next to Mickwin, depends on if, we pressure them a lot here. I don't really remember. But if they spawn on either one of those spots, they're going to be in a good spot for the OS, right? Because they're literally spawning right next to overall green. So instead of us being like, oh, we're going to desperate overshield and like make sure that we get it, our goal is to like, okay, let's work towards C, but also pressure Ovi and just make it really hard for them to secure it. Because like we're not really in a good position to grab OS. So if we can get any kills over on that side and just live and like make it hard for them while we take C, then we're winning like not only by getting the slays to take C over, but also by like basically burning that OS. Because if we get any kills and they grab OS and OS is the last guy alive, he's just going to get melted. And it's just a net negative for them because they lose C and they lose OS. So it's a unique way of thinking about it. A lot more people will probably send more resources towards OS and like try to make sure they get it and commit to that before even going for the hill or like. But like in this situation for us, we're like, okay, we have numbers. We just got this hill. We know where the hill's moving. Let's do our best to secure that over anything else. And if they get Ovi, that's fine. We'll just let them push us and hopefully kill them or negate it and still keep control of the hill.
It's so funny when you mentioned that because I'm gonna. It's funny because we theory craft when I'm like casting and whatnot, and I nobody agrees with me when I say this, but what you're saying almost sounds similar to one of my theories. I say on Live Fire King of the Hill, we're gonna get to the point where I think a team prioritizes off the break going towards hill number 1 as opposed to setting up towards the overshield, because I feel almost for the same thing. I feel like if you're set up, I feel like where that overshield is going. He's going toward the hill where like in strongholds. In strongholds, I feel like Overshield can go like multiple different places. If you know where Overshield is looking to go, I feel like it's easy to melt them. It's easier, and then all the hill time that you gain by getting into that hill first, even if they do break you, they're playing catch up. They no longer have that overshield because it gets melted, and then it's our little theory craft and whatnot. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, which I am. But
I mean, that's kind of the mentality, though, right? Like you get the time on the hill because the objective is to capture the hills, right? So the time on the hill is the most important part. And then if you can put yourself like A bags and like even like send some bodies over there to like do damage on OS earlier, like deny it. If you win it, awesome, great. We just got overshield and we're in the hill, right? If you don't get it, then you once they secure the overshield, those players that are playing up on them like get out with their lives and like reset up, and now. We wait for the OS to push and we just take it out, right? Like just like what we're doing right now. Like they got overshield, but I mean we got C. We've already taken the overshield out, so it's like.
Do you know where he's going? Like he's going. There's like where else gonna go besides the seaside of the map? This is where the hill is.
That's kind of our mentality on it. It's just in my head, like that's like nothing's worse than winning overshield and then. You get comboed or you lose it, and like now you're not scoring. You lost overshield and you're not scoring. So I'd rather score and then get overshield and then lose it than send a bunch of resources and not get the overshield.
I use the word we. I'm not a part of Proton. I'm sorry. I just like the word we. we get them 4 down, and I noticed that Haynes is pushed up over toward the green side, and obviously your top tower. Are we trying to purposely spawn trap them over towards back A or over towards overshield? Like, what's if you don't mind me asking, what's the game plan? Are we trying to cut this map in half?
I mean, it doesn't really matter what side that we spawn them on, but I think for hill in general, right? Like you would like them to be at the furthest spawn point. So I think if they're spawning in A, whether that be screen side or big door or green, like it's a win, right? So any of those is going to be a positive. And it's just a matter of like as long as you're controlling one. Spawns, where they're spawning, then you can just sit here and like Haynes just going to do a good job here of like being in a spot where he's going to do damage and like try to pressure them, not let them get up, and then if he gets weak, he's going to back out, and then we're going to reset for the play again and just try to keep denying them from like getting to us. And then when we start feeling the pressure, we're going to start to double up and like play out lanes to try to get kills and keep them again, just deny them from getting to C, because again, the more time that we get, the better for us, right?
It's almost like as they're spawning up, it's like you're like information gathering. Like, are they sending? They're just trying to find out how many numbers are they sending. Like, it's a 3-lane highway, really. It's either it's either nest side, mid, or overshield. And once you get that information on where they're pushing, you could kind of, like you said, kind of divert your attention towards it. So I feel like right now you're gaining information, and then the moment you say, I think this is where I feel like my matchmaking teammates have a problem with. They'll call out, but they won't call out like how many. Like, no, there's one guy one shot overshield. I find there's 3 people there. Like, well, that's important. If I know there's 3 people overshield, why the hell am I watching nest side? Like, let me know how many people are over there, because I can divert my attention over to that lane and help out more. I feel like that's really important. I love that you mentioned like you know, where you're gonna, like, I guess, put those resources. I guess almost like a chess player, where what side of the map you're gonna control or put pressure on based on where they're pushing from.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing for us too. Is like you said, killing Frenzy out of the goat himself, right? This guy's insane. But I mean, we're looking at this. We're sitting here. I mean, they haven't even got a chance to touch the hill yet, really. I mean, either one of the hills. I mean, we're trying to push them out and like try to prevent them from even getting close. And then by the time that anybody can get close, it's like the last guy alive, the second 2 guys alive. So it's easy to like fend off those pushes, right? Like we're just denying the space from them and just doing damage to like keep them from getting up on the map.
I mean, not only do you guys go up 2-0, but Overshield's coming up as well. They're set up for next hill, but they got to control Sandbag, they got to control here. You guys are already in their face. Like, you got to kill already. Breaking shots in here with the heat wave. Like, dude, you guys are freaking rolling right now. And Overshield's up. There's no shot that he gets. So now they're 3 down. Like,
yeah, same exact situation as the C, right? Like, we had the opportunity to play it. Like, we knew they were going to be hill. We had the opportunity to play up on them and pressure them, setting up for it, and also get the, same thing. Like this time we get the overshield. They got the overshield in the last one, we burn it. This time we get A and the overshield. So again, like at this point, like 2-0, everything's like, dude, everything's going our way. Like we're feeling so good.
You should be
defending off the pushes. Like, yeah, I mean it's going really well for us.
I will say it's taking a little long to kill Tapping Buds right there. That was a 3 down. He was like the 4th player. He bought a lot of time. If he dies quickly, you guys probably like, if not finish the hill, like get it like right like here.
And I think that's the you'll see this in a second. That's like the heartbreaking part, because even on this hill, right? Like, I mean, we're looking at this hill as like, they got a little bit of time, but we came in, got overshield, made the push, started controlling it, got basically 50% of this hill already. Like we're looking at this being like, okay, cool, we're about to go 3 up.
Yeah.
And if it's not for this man in small window right here, look at this guy's the momentum swing right here, Gilkey. Body shot's breaking shot for the initial break there. I get 2. Gilk's still alive here, gets the snipe, right? Another assist, right? And then, so Gilkey single-handedly, as last player alive, basically gets 3 kills there. And that's like the big momentum swing, because if Gilk dies and we clear that, this hill's ours, we're up 3-0, right? But Gilk makes basically a play by himself. I mean, Tapping lived, Milk did his thing. Obviously got the cleanups there for a couple of Gilk's plays too. But, I mean, Gilk getting the snipe and getting into this position and doing what he just did basically sets them up for a little bit of the swing that they get on this hill, because we go up 3-0 into this next hill. I mean, 3-0 on live fire, 3-0 on any king in general. I mean, that's a tough feat. It's not that it's impossible, because there's a lot of time, especially with where it's at right now, 3 minutes. But 3-0 and a king's a pretty challenging thing to overcome. And Gilk literally just probably made the biggest play of the game in terms of like a momentum thing for them. Even with him only being, look at 5 and 9, but something that's not showing up on the stat screen is literally what he just did right there to put them in a position to win this hill and keep them in the game.
Coach Callis once called Gilkey one of the best, if not the best, back players in the game, and I feel like
right there.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like on streets, like I feel like in a scenario like that on streets, like getting into your opponent's like PD side, like they have like the A control, you just getting to PD and staying alive is easier than you getting into small window and staying alive. Like there's not much real estate in that small window for somebody to push that, put that much pressure, do that much damage, and also stay alive. I feel like if this was streets, he plays that same role, he goes into PD, and it's easier for him to do all of that over towards small window and just be that nuisance and hopefully get the kills. And if not the kills, at least the damage that his teammates buy to get the kills. Like you said, it's value-driven plays like that don't show up on the scoreboard. He's 5-9 right now, but like you said, he just made a game. Like look at where we're at right now. Like look at the time.
I know it's crazy because you go back and look when I get the double. I mean, obviously you don't have to go back, but I get the double kill there on I think Barcode and Mikwin. Tapping and Gilk last two alive. I got a punch on tapping when I traded out, so tapping's absolute there when Gilk makes that play. So really, tapping's absolute. We got 3 people alive at that point, and Gilk has sniper and small window, and obviously we played it poorly to a degree. We definitely could have played it way better, but again, Gilk made a play in a situation where, back against the wall, and, that, again, comes out as the reason why they're able to get that hill, in my opinion. If they lose that scenario, I think we just win that. It's up 3-0, and now we're on this hill, potentially about to close the game out. But, that's just the experience and the ice from these guys. And again, when I say that they had like one of the craziest runs and, had, many clutch moments, like that's one of them I look back on that kind of like in my head, like kind of started everything, like built their confidence up too, and like let them know that like doesn't matter, they're never out of a game, which they're not. Too much talent.
Well, they did transition really well from A to Overshield, and they gave you guys like a decent amount of time with it, but somehow you guys did break. You guys even ended up snatching the Overshield. Now we're caught up here, so just like you said, like they're not out of it, you're not out of it either. You're very much right back into this hill right here, and still have an opportunity to put a 3-1, but I was like, Haynes, he's taking damage from all. Ugh, that is so frustrating. I mean, right, left, center, like you're taking damage for all sides. He did a good job of staying alive and make turn.
Sorry.
No, go.
Another great play by Gilky here again, because like the reason why this falls apart for us is Gilk's mud this entire time, like back tower, and it just takes us way too long and too many resources to like finally push him out. I think Gilk alone being mud distracts like both of our C guys during that entire play, where like Haynes is in the hill with the overshield, and that allows those guys that all are A side to come out and do all that pressure and basically win the break there. And again, another play out of Gilky that I feel like he dies ultimately, but just the attention that he was getting there and us focusing him as hard as we did put him in a position to break and finish that hill up too. So now we're sitting at 2-2.
Guys, we're set up pretty early for the tower side. Looks like decent damage out of them, but eventually they go 3 down. Like you said, tied up at 2 apiece, but a really important swing hill here. Breaking shot did drop a freaking running wide this game, which is like so crazy to think about it.
He's literally so good, and that's the crazy part about it is he's just starting, in my opinion. Like he's literally just starting. His ceiling's crazy. Big play out of Mikwin here. Good patience.
That was that pre-nerf though. The pre-nerf green gun right there.
Definitely was, but that's it's funny to say veteran play with the green gun there, but just the patience to sit there and not like rush that play at all and just sit there and know that he had all the time in the world to make that play to get the overshield burn. Again, I mean, these last couple hills have basically been, each team's had 50%, and they've just iced up these last 3.
Yep.
I mean, that's where I'm saying like the games are a lot of momentum, a lot of momentum that's just changing hands.
I also want to give just a small shout out to McWin. He started the game off 1-10 with even a very little assist, maybe like 3 or 4 assists. And sometimes that can mentally check you. So the fact that he climbed out of it at 8-14, obviously not like okay, he's not dropping a running right like breaking shot, but at least he's not checked out of the game, because that could have lost him. That could have lost him the game if he was checked out.
We had him in hell for a little bit. I think the big thing that we did well to start the game is that again we were just pushing, like doubled up pushing lanes and just like meeting them a lot of times off spawn. So I think Mikwin his start looked bad, but I don't feel like it was necessarily like as much on his play or like individual performance. It was more so like I felt like every spot that he tried going to start was just getting met with like he was just losing numbers early, like every single time. He'd go out big door off a spawn or go out top mid off a spawn, just meet 2 people. And there's really not much you can do. Like this game isn't Halo 5 or like, a game where you're gonna challenge 2 people and have a chance to win that. I mean, if you meet 2 people head on off a spawn, like GG.
Oh man, like I said, you guys were rolling throughout those first two hills, and even that third hill. Like if you would have told me from watching this, you guys are up 3-0, I'd believe it, bro. Like I would believe it.
I look back at this, and outside of those couple, small little plays like Gilkey made, tapping made, like in those moments, like I mean, I'm looking at both those hills as like, man, like this one situation, we're 4-0ing them. We're literally 4-0ing them on the hill game one. And that's just, I mean, it obviously didn't happen, but that's my opinion of those plays. And Halo's, like I said, momentum based. That's just how swings go sometimes. I'm sure they probably felt the same way, like, in a lot of these situations. That's how they ended up, coming back and closing it out.
Oh, hold on, 3 down. It's really tough because like now like they like one, 2, or 3 down they get and they steal it away. But just want to see if guys are able to climb out. Hold on. Assault rifle's the best gun in this freaking game, I swear, bro. Oh no! See, you gotta hit the Frosty right there. If you hit that white corner and you bounce up, you get the Frosty right back on the map with the repulse. And looks like eventually.
I think that was his play too. He's like, man, if I would have been able to repulse back on the map. I was like, yeah, just again, they got a lot of time on that hill. They got the overshield, secured them that one. But I mean, that entire game from our perspective was like, man, we really let that one get away, which sucked because then we go into game 2, which obviously is a Slayer. But I mean, started off that game up big and blew that one at the end too. So I'm looking at this series like, man, these guys just got top 4, and we had them, on the ropes for 60% of both these games, 70% of both these games. And just let it slip away. And that's where, like, for us, it's a learning experience. Like, these guys have Mikwa and Gilk. I mean, people that are more experienced than most people, and they have the young talent and barcode and tapping, and just something that we've got to do a better job of, like, being better in those situations, and like not allowing that to happen, just playing a little bit smarter. And it's a completely different series for us. And who knows, instead of Native White getting top 4, maybe it's Proton Gaming out of Overback getting top 4.
Honestly, I mean, the way you guys were rolling right there, obviously it was a loss, but I feel like you guys played that so damn good, and I'm not just gassing. If watching that game, you guys did play that well. If there was, and this is my opinion. I mean, you can disagree or not. If there was only one constructive criticism throughout that entire game, I would say is like not letting that final player be such a nuisance. Like there was one time Tap and Buzz did it, eventually turned to Gilkey. Eventually, there was one time Gilkey did it over toward the back C side and whatnot. That final player just living and being such a nuisance and denying you time within that hill is so valuable on them.
Yeah.
And then eventually they freaking play through it. That's the only tiny bit of credit. But other than that, that could have been a 4-0.
That's the big takeaway that we had from that game, and we all had the same takeaway when we came out of that game when we looked at it back too. And it's like, for us, we had all the information in the world on every single one of those plays. We knew Gilkey was mud during that play at C. Like, we had that information. We knew Gilkey was Smolder with Snipe on the play A. And like you said, like a couple of those tapping buttons, Gilkey, those are just us taking too much time on those two players and like allowing them to make a play off that. And then Gilkey with the play and Smolder on the AR there, on the Bandit, I guess now with the Snipe. It's instead of us, kind of using teamwork and like making a play on that, it ended up being a lot of like Gilkey being able to isolate like one person, get a body shot clean up, isolate another person. Like, we just didn't, the way that we approached it wasn't coordinated enough to be able to make a play, and that allowed them to, again, make the plays that they needed to get the momentum back. So a lot of great takeaways though, but yeah, you're spot on. That's the biggest thing that we got from this game. We didn't really do a whole lot wrong. Like, it wasn't really OS's. It wasn't really our control of like, the hills and like setting up for them and like how we were breaking them. It was literally just those small moments where, we weren't fast enough, or we took too much time, or, we let Gilkey get a bunch of 1v1s with Sniper that we could have, we had enough people alive that we could have, probably approached it a little bit safer, a little bit more cautiously together. So, but again, I think those all boil down. Those are just experience moments for us where, we had lapses and they capitalized as the veterans and, the talent that they've got on their team, and it allowed them to pull out, a 3-0 series win. And I think that's the crazy thing. Like I said, look at the 4K games we played. I mean, even these 3-0s that we're having against people, they're all great learning experience. We're not really getting blown out in like a lot of these games. They're all super competitive, super close, and it's literally 1 or 2 plays mid-game, in-game that's, costing us in some of these series against Optic and against, Native White and against, some of these better teams. And it's just a matter of time before we, have been in that situation enough to where we ice up and, don't make those same mistakes, and we're just closing these ones out.
Well, I guess first of all, I'm happy you said I was right about something, because y'all in the chat keep thinking I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Screw you all. But second of all, like the fact that you all said that you went into that film review ASAP, you found out exactly what were the weaknesses there. Even though you played it well, still how could you have played it better and ultimately close it out? And number three, I think you're spot on with saying that no matter what happens in a series or in these games, every time we watch it, from the Charlotte to the 4K, from no matter what tournament it is, you guys are not only putting upsets against multiple teams, 2-1 Native Red that I've seen, G1, and probably much more on top of that.
Got SSG in the 4K.
Yeah,
Game 5.
So not only you guys are in those games that you're ultimately losing, but you're getting better. You're getting these upsets, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. It's only a matter of time before you guys go from the underdogs to the favorites in a lot of these matchups. If not, people are already starting to see that within the casual and even the semi-casual competitive community. Chris, it honestly is a pleasure. I hope you know this ain't the last time you're gonna be on here. I hope you know this ain't the last time you're gonna be on here. We had Posey on one of the HS post shows.
I roasted him for that. I roasted him because he was on there. I didn't realize he was being reckless. But hey, speak your mind, Shane. Speak your mind. But man was on there talking all kinds of crazy stuff. But I respect him for being in front of everybody and giving his honest opinion on stuff. But was on there saying whatever he wanted to say.
Well, I would love to have you on, and breaking down the bracket, and again, you can say whatever you want, and guys, don't you accuse me of instigating. I didn't instigate anything, okay? He said what he wanted to say, okay? I didn't do nothing. Screw y'all, because I know that's what they're gonna say. But I would love to have you back on for another project, whether it be another one of these or anything. You're well spoken, have a great head on your shoulders, and are getting better and better every time we see you. And thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
I greatly appreciate it, Tony. And anytime you got something going on, feel free, man. This is the type of stuff that I appreciate you and LVT and everybody that's out there, Tim, and all the people out there behind the scenes that are giving content and putting content out. Because in my opinion, this is what we need to be able to continue to make strides to grow and position ourselves down the line as Halo, as an esport, and as a game that's fun for casual and up and coming players to be able to come out here and look at stuff like this, and not just have tournaments to watch and streams to watch, but have stuff like this they can go back and reference and get some more in-depth stuff. So it's a pleasure. So like I said, anytime that you need somebody and I'm available, man, I'm there for you.
And then the final thing, as much as I want to use my platform for you to share, what's behind your mind. And when I thank you so much, interview film, it was great, but I also want to use my platform to share where we can find you. So, Twitter, Twitch, do you have a online store? I don't know. Where can we find Chris Common?
Yeah, it's Common CD, all one word. So Common, letter C, letter D.
Twitch and Twitter.
Twitter, YouTube, which I really don't use, Twitch, all that stuff. So if you're looking to keep up with me or Proton or anything like that, feel free to drop a follow on all that stuff, and try to be as active as I possibly can be on all that stuff. So be a good place to start. Stream pretty much every day on Twitch, Common CD, scrims, matchmaking, all that stuff. So another great spot to catch me at.
Guys, if you're in the chat right now on Twitch, it's in the chat. Make sure you follow on both right now. I mean, right now. We're not continuing the video until you go. We're not ending the video until you go. No, yes, you go press the button right now. What are you waiting for? And same thing, guys, on YouTube. It's gonna be in the description if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead and do that. Follow. It's Common CD. Twitch.tv/Common CD. And then Twitter.com/Common CD. And recording is over.